Yeah, Martin Kpebu, like Martin Kpebu, if you look at it, has not minced words on his disapproval of Mr. Kissi Agyabeng's decisions in the past, is it not? I mean, right from the time he assumed office, at least I can remember in the first 6 months, there was an epistle from Martin Kpebu already. Then it continued up until, I think, the I think the third week of January or so, when he issued a statement, if you recall. After this Ankwanoma press conference, then there was some sort of consultation or meeting between the judiciary and the OSP, because the OSP had complained about how certain cases were playing out in court. Then a statement was issued that there's collaboration now between the OSP and the judiciary and so on. After that press conference, Martin Kpebu comes and says, you know, that statement is fake. It cannot be coming from the judiciary in that instance. In December 2023, I recall Martin Kpebu putting out another epistle accusing Mr. Kissi Agyabeng of suppressing investigation. He was consistent even at some time in August last year, also putting out a statement about the procurement issues that he cites in this petition. About
where is the evidence?
Well, I mean,
where is the evidence?
You recall that last year some reports of the vehicles that, you know, where he had sought.
But that's a one-sided story. We haven't seen any communication from procurement authority that Kissi Agyabeng OSP breached the law. We haven't seen anything. We haven't seen. So I'm like, but how? Or is it? So I googled to find out. You haven't seen any pronouncement from the procurement authority.
But you know that sometime in August, I think August 2022, that Martin Kpebu petitioned the Public Services Commission.
Yes.
About some decisions by Mr. Kissi Agyabeng, I mean, or the Special Prosecutor's Office. Now, I got copies of that. We'll put that on the screen as we go on, just for the benefit of our viewers.
Yes.
In fact, Mr. Emmanuel Amadou Basintale was mentioned in this petition by Martin Kpebu to the Public Service Commission, described as Kissi Agyabeng's personal friend and former client. Resigned as a superintendent of police and was immediately employed as a director of investigation at the Special Prosecutor's Office, a position equivalent to a commissioner of police in the Ghana Police Service. Then one Albert Akurugu. You have mentioned this name before on this platform. Described as a brilliant GRA officer who Kissi Agyabeng wanted seconded to the OSP but was refused. An incident that created bad blood between him and Colonel Kojo Damwa. You remember Colonel Kojo Damwa in this Labianca case? That the Special Prosecutor investigated. Okay. And this is Martin Kpebu's own opinion. We don't know anything beyond what he put in this.
So
and then you have Samida Akon as well, who have been speaking to. He captured him in that petition to the Public Service Commission, described as an associate of law firm Cromwell Gray LLP, founded by Kissi Agyabeng, until his appointment as a director at the OSP, and then, you know, a few others. So this is one that you would say he has been on this path. For all this period.
But the matter is that under Article 199, okay, no, 195, the appointments, okay, they usually, appointments are by the president. The appointment, the power to appoint persons to hold or act in an office in the public services shall vest in the president, blah, blah. Then let's go to 2. It says the president may, subject to such conditions as he may deem fit, delegate some of his functions under this article by directions in writing to the governing council concerned, or to a committee of the council, or to any member of the governing council, or to any public officer. So Kissi Agyabeng sought authorization from the president and appointed those people.
Right.
That's what he did. And it's constitution, it's law. He sought authorization from the president and appointed those people. And there's been, you see, there's been this huge problem in the public service. There are some people who, in the appointment process, you have to go through Public Services Commission, you know, all that. It's a huge problem. Lots of senior public servants, if not gone through that process. It didn't start today. It's a different kettle of fish. If we press this point too hard, then the public service will collapse. If we press this too hard, but as far as I'm aware, he sought authorization from the president and did the appointments. So, and then their governing council was subsequently set up, and they have. So you wait, let Kisi would answer. The only pain is that once the petition is pending now, it's already distracting the office. Yes, it's a huge reputational loss. It's a huge distraction. But as for the answers, yes, I believe he would answer. So what we also need to do, so that it will show that as citizens we are active, maybe we can put together 1,000 signatures showing that we stand with the OSP as Kisi is going through the impeachment process. That would be very useful. Yes, let's do a petition. 1,000 citizens at least standing with Kisi Ejabe as he goes through the impeachment, proceedings, because then that will help, so that we see that citizens are not just sleeping. We can't sit for Kisi to just be thrown out of office. No, Akufo-Addo wants a malleable candidate. That will not happen. He wants a die-hard MPP person to be appointed, the type that he will go to bed knowing that no matter what, that person will block any attempts to prosecute Akufo-Addo and his appointees. But that will not happen. Ghana belongs to all of us. It won't happen.
Well, let me come in.
Going to court.
Bring lawyer Kobe on this. When Martin Kpebu, I'll come back on this abuse of judges and administration of office.
Yeah, it's just a comment.
I'll come to you on that.
Thank you, Albert. On my part, I want to acknowledge the fact that a constitutional process has begun.
Right.
And when such a situation arises, I think ordinarily our commentaries ought to be measured so that we don't be seen to be making determinations that are reserved for other constitutional bodies.
Right.
I am a bit surprised at the issues raised, but be it as they are, they have been accepted as issues to be determined by the institutions. I'll be very careful. I will not go into it. I probably would not have endorsed those issues, except the one on procurement.
Right.
If there are procurement breaches,
yes,
there are various provisions in the law that allow citizens to commence an action. And indeed, many times I advertise Article 41 and the responsibility on Ghanaians to ensure that public purse is protected and public property is protected. And it's a civil process that all Ghanaians can be clothed with capacity to undertake. Because I don't want to comment on the results of the petition, I would want us also as citizens, if we feel and see and have evidence to support some of the claims, then we can also undertake the due process of law, which will also restore public property and public interest. Beyond that, Mr. Martin Kpebu, he has a civil right to initiate such action. So I would not criticize him. It is his right. But what I would do is that let us fast track the process so that the resolution will come quickly, and then we can have the decision that will support the process, be it an impeachable evidence obtained or otherwise. But I also want to commend Mr. Kisi Ejabe for being the professional that he has been and stating the position as he finds it in his investigations. Nevertheless, I want to encourage Mr. Kpebu also that if you fail in a case in court, that does not necessarily mean you are incompetent or you have not done well or that you are unduly being frustrated. In fact, these court cases that came up some time ago, I was a little surprised that Mr. Kpebu was sharing such frustration because we have all been managers of chambers before, and Martin, I'm sure, and sometimes it is not you who is the senior lawyer in the chamber who will do all the cases. Sometimes you delegate a junior lawyer to do a case under your supervision though. But you may not be in the courtroom all the time. So when you are confronted with a situation that requires an application of the rule of law or a process or procedure, you will be on your feet. You will not have the luxury of referring to your senior for guidance. And sometimes you will make mistakes. And even senior lawyers make mistakes all the time. Mm-hmm. But when you go to the court and you don't succeed in what you set out to do, you will learn something from the process. You will learn something from the determination by the judicial representative, that's the judge. So, for me, sometimes when you know that you would have erred procedurally or by invocation of the appropriate law, you come back and learn and prepare and correct yourself and go back. You don't throw your hands in despair like I was seeing him. In the initial applications to the court also relied on the laws and dismissed some of those applications. But for me, it was not a foreclosed situation that you cannot do anything. And in one of the reasoning behind the ruling, mm-hmm. the court was giving direction as you should have done this, you should have done this in this way, you should have done it in that way. So even where the matter has been struck out, in the case of an application struck out, you can come back. Even where the matter has been dismissed, there's an opportunity to go up and prove yourself or test the law. So just throwing your hands out in despair at the instant court, I'm not sure it's the best thing to do. Sometimes you need to test the law. But the petition is already filed, mm-hmm. and President has referred it to. You will remember the former EC Electoral Commissioner's case.
Charlotte Osei, you mean?
Madam Charlotte Osei. This matter was referred to the CJ, and the process continued. So I think this one too, it will continue. Let's have the patience to wait for the constitutional process to end. And then we can hold on to the determination. For nothing at all, we are out from the procedure and processes and also the determination. What I don't like of Martin's submission is testing the quality of the issues. Well, I think that is the principle of the court.
The start of it is even unnecessary in itself.
It's not at a court. That's why.
It's a constitutional process that has been ignited. It's a constitutional process. I would prefer that I hold on and give the space to the constitutionally mandated institutions to perform.
But you are,
albeit that I have my own opinion, mm-hmm. that may align with the thinking of Martin. But I will not make any pronouncements. But expect that the process is expedited for us to get the necessary results, and for all of us to be so advised, and all of us to be so embedded with the necessary knowledge. So let it proceed. But I want to encourage Honorable Kisi Ejabe that the loss of one battle is not the end of the war. So learn from the loss and come back stronger than before. And then let us appreciate your exposé on the law and your advocacy. And indeed, your reference to procedural directions as given by the law.
You have stated your point today that you have issues with some of the reasons that Martin Kpebu cited
Definitely.
in the petition.
Definitely.
To have Mr. Kpebu Agyabeng removed.
Definitely. Because as Martin was saying, when you initiate an action, you must prepare your evidence to support it. And it would have been easier for the petitioner to have laid hands on the facts and evidence that is admissible in the process, so that you are able to not only shout, but shout with the evidence to support the shouting. But I'm not saying he may not have the evidence, but for me, if he had taken other routes to establish platforms to launch the assault, that would have been better. But that's my opinion. He thinks that he can start it all over again, but it will be so laborious because the termination of the first matter will take you so long. The termination of that will take you so long, and the public may also lose interest if the process is too long. So it depends. Everybody has his strategy. So,
But this also has political implications. I mean, if what Mr. Daniel Domelovo said to us, the indication he gave to us, and what he has heard,
you see,
comes to pass, that it is indeed the case that, and well, he cited the law. The president may not be wrong if he asks him to step aside while investigations take place.
As happened in EC's case.
Indeed. But what signal will this send? It's not, this is especially the timing and also the person involved and what he is doing at this time.
You see, Abbott.
It's Alfred.
Alfred, no, sorry. Suspicions, 1 million of suspicions will not constitute evidence. And again, a hearsay is not admissible in the legal process. You see, so when you have evidence, quality evidence that can support your case, nobody will prevent you. But we are being too politicized. Always everything that comes has political color. This one is talking politics. No, the law doesn't know politics. And evidence cannot be adduced with a political interest. So let's think Ghanaians before even our political parties. Let's become citizens of Ghana before we consider our association with political parties. So for nothing at all, this is a call on the legal process, the constitutional process, to make a determination. And if we allow the process to roll, at the end of the day, the decision will be qualitative. If we have any contributions at all to the process, let's avail ourselves that opportunity and participate and get us a solution that can be sustainable.
I see.
So I think that Martin, I cannot fault him, but we could have maybe we could have done it differently.
Kpebu, your last word on this. But let me just
state is that Ghanaians talk politics too much. We leave the things that give us life and always focus on politics. The country is suffering from over-politicization of national issues. The country is suffering. Everything has to come either from NDC or NPP. Sometimes, and again, I say this with pain, our constitution was sick from the day it was promulgated. You see, Africans by nature, we are autocratic. So if you give so much power into one hand, it will be abused.
Honorable Kpebu, that's where the challenge is. You have admitted that the country is suffering. But if the people who are the helm of affairs speak otherwise, when the citizens point out the realities they are faced with, that's not politics, though.
No,
that's people coming to terms with their reality. And you see, let me just make a point. You see, anybody who speaks a language contrary to what government speaks, it seems to be doing politics. That's not the case.
So am I doing politics?
No, you are not. I'm not talking about you. You only said that Ghanaians should stop doing politics. I'm only saying to you that it sounds that way.
Over-politicization of national issues.
The moment you have a contrary opinion, you are seen to be anti-government. However the case, if whether you see it that way or otherwise, it doesn't take away the reality that people are faced with. So when people are talking about their realities on a daily basis, that's different from being overly political.
To be honest
you understand where people
I don't
are
see
now.
politics in this discussion
Indeed,
this morning.
indeed.
Because these are state institutions performing their constitutional rules. I don't see politics in this. And if, say, Yoko says something, I will not credit the government with that statement.
True.
Neither will I point to a failure of government because of that statement. It is, let's respect the institutions of state, let them work. So if the institutions come under some criticism, let's respond to that and not say that. So if Akufo-Addo says something, he's MPP. If Ricketts says something, he's NDC. But this discussion this morning, we are addressing issues
Indeed.
concerning state institutions. Our worry is not directed at President Mahama or President Akufo-Addo. As far as I'm concerned, they don't matter in these discussions at all. We are saying that the expectations we have for our state institutions, we have found it worrisome to discuss. And that is why we are bringing our issues differently. But at least these are not political statements advertising our political interests.
Well, let me take you through. And
But it will be good for even members of a political party to, advocate differently if it will serve the national interest.
Which you are doing now, because you are advocating for some things that typically you would not have a member of your party do. And which you're doing, which is commendable. I'm only saying that you are not. Martin Kpebu, so, and that I would just want to take our viewers and our listeners through what the Office of Special Prosecutor Act 2017, Act 959, says about how an OSP can be removed or can be taken out of office. So, removal of the Special Prosecutor, Section 15, and we'll put that path on the screen and how this petition is going to travel. The Special Prosecutor shall not be removed from office except for A, stated misbehavior or incompetence, incapacity to perform the function of the office by reason of infirmity or body or of mind, willful violation of the office oath or secrecy, conduct which brings or is likely to bring the office of the Special Prosecutor into disrepute, ridicule, or contempt, or is prejudicial or inimical to the economy or security of the state. A person who seeks to remove the Special Prosecutor from office shall submit a petition to the President. That's what Martin Kpebu has done. Where the President receives the petition for the removal of the Special Prosecutor, the President shall, within 7 days, so that's what you see there, 7 days, refer the petition to the Chief Justice, who shall, within 30 days, determine whether there's a prima facie evidence. So this is the path that this petition will take, and the days. And then within 14 days, by June 19, if our timelines are anything to go by, because this petition was submitted on 30th April. So by 19th of June, a committee should have been set up, a committee of 3 is expected to be set up for a 14-day period for the committee to work. By July 9, within that 90-day period, by all things being equal, the President should take a decision after that, based on the recommendations of the committee.
You have brought me memories of what happened in the formulation of the Special Prosecutor Act in Parliament.
Yes.
You see, it is the referral is directed at the Chief Justice.
Yes.
But at the end of the committee's work, the committee presents to the President.
Sure.
I was so much against that because the Chief Justice appointed the committee. So why would the committee, after finishing its work, rather report to the President?
Yeah.
I thought that they should have reported back to the Chief Justice for the Chief Justice to have also communicated to the President. But I did this argument. Nobody, understood what I was saying, and I was overruled. You see, Rickard, I'm sure you were there. You see, I raised this objection that these people are unknown to the President. So why would they directly report to the President? Let them report to the Chief Justice so that the Chief Justice will rather transmit the conclusions to the President. But I was overruled, unfortunately. I was overruled. So this is the situation we have.
And this is what is going to happen.
This is what is going to happen. Sometimes it's not always the case that a good argument will find favor.
That's
so
true.
if I was not able to convince my colleagues, fine.
Well, unfortunately, it's not going to happen. Finally, on this, because you've, Lawyer Martin Kpebu, worked closely with the Special Prosecutor's Office, and that's why you speak of some things that we don't know about. But if it so happens that the President exercises his discretion in law to ask Kisi Ejabeng to step aside in the coming weeks, because Mr. Daniel Demelovo indicated that based on what he has heard, by next week, that decision may be taken. If it is not taken next week, but in the coming weeks, what signal would that send to you? Ben, very quickly. Before
a very bad signal.
Why?
And bad is not even the right word. That would undermine our fight against corruption. That would be a serious, fatal blow to our fight against corruption, right? And I'll proceed to show why. But let me also clarify. My relation with the OSP is limited to the case I presented to them. That's the petition I sent, the Northern Development Authority.
NDA case, yes.
So sometimes you go there because you have to testify, you have to ask for updates on the case. That's it. That's the relationship.
I think you've been very consistent on this.
That's it. And it's moving well. Said now they asked to open their case.
Yes.
So we'll see. The first major corruption case, I mean, since the OSP started, at least the one that's gone past the prosecution's case.
Okay.
So that's a feat that's how come I say, you see, DC is moving steadily. Hey, because we have passed that hurdle. It's no joke. I remember when we went to Tamale to testify, lawyers for accused persons, they were taunting me that this case will be thrown out in no time, that it will not go past this stage. That's the submission of no case, they would win, and that will be thrown out. But thankfully, at least, the case is gone into the second half, right? And Dr. Isidore Tufo, the prosecutor, good work done. Good. So looking at this, if Kisi is suspended, it's going to be a major blow, extremely. So that's why I earlier on said that Ghanaians shouldn't sit quiet. We are allowed to advocate, right, to show our support to Kisi, so that it will signal to the president that he shouldn't even contemplate that. He shouldn't contemplate that because we're seeing his hands all throughout these petitions. His hands are all over the petition. So he shouldn't go that step further. He has just 6 months to go. He himself, very soon, he will be facing the law courts. It's too late. It's too late. 6 months, don't do it. Yes, Akufo-Addo himself will be a candidate for prosecution. That one is well established. This 6 months, you can't do anything. So just let it run its course. You've been very corrupt as a president, and the law is...
You say you are going to take him up in court. You are going to prove that corruption in court.
Yes.
And I'll hold you on to it.
Oh, yes. You've forgotten the 800 million he padded
I just want
deal.
it to be established here.
Yes.
For our viewers to also take notice of that. You see, sometimes because some politicians, you are not a politician, but politicians will always be accusing each other of corruption. Both of you are. When you accuse each other of corruption, and then it comes, and you come to power, nothing happens. I mean, the MPP, Mr. Piakubi, you run a very competent corruption campaign against the NDC. And I'm yet to see one case filed against their presidential candidate, John Mahama, for corruption. And then also, all those other cases that you cited. Why is it that when you accuse your opponents of corruption and you come to power, you lose the appetite, that is, or you didn't have evidence in accusing people of corruption?
We need to bring sanity to the political arena. Because when you just accuse people of doing wrongs and you don't follow up with civil claims, the other person has a right to come to court for defamation. I want to see that happening. In fact, in my own case, there was an allegation of corruption against me in my constituency, saying that we have chopped some money, I have chopped some money and went ranting. I sued the person in court. Say, come and prove your case. And in any case, the person is an assembly member. You know that no MP can lay hands on common fund. No MP. Tell me if there is one. No MP. In fact, when you approve of a project to be done in your constituency, that is the end of your participation, except that you come back to monitor. The person who would do the procurement is there as a procurement officer in the constituency, and the person who will be paying money is there as the disbursement officer in the constituency. You will not see one penny, but somebody comes. So I sue the person,
right.
And I had obtained a judgment in default of defense, and then my party chairman calls me. People have come to him to plead that because we are going to election, you see, and this is very Ghanaian. So reluctantly, you don't want to disrespect your party chairman. Okay. I felt strongly that I needed to prove my case, so I had to, listen to reason. And so let's ensure that you know what you are talking about. Okay. You cannot destroy people's image just because you want a political advantage. It's not fair. Yeah. And again, we have a system. It is only in Africa that we have somebody we call Jatuahi. We deliberately create an institution so that people will offend and go to him, and he will come and then abate the pain. Jatuahi in our parlance is an indication that we want people to offend and take solace in the offense and get away with it. It's not fair. So I think that people who commit all kinds of offenses must be brought to book. So, and again, we politicians,
right?
You accuse me, I accuse you. You accuse me, I accuse you, without proof. So we are selling ourselves collectively to the citizenry.
Okay.
There comes a time when they will not believe either me or you anymore. So without evidence, there's no need for us to bastardize each other like that.
Well, that time is here.
Yes.
Anyway, thank you.
That time is here. You see?
Indeed.
Unfortunately.
This is Key Point on TV3. We are live on 3FM 92.7. Also on TV3 Ghana on Facebook, DSTV channel 279, all across the world on 3news.com. And in fact, if you go on 3news.com, we're churning out stories every step of the way, by the minute. And kudos to the online team for doing this. Thank you so much. Headed by Mr. Eric Aite, thank you. So you can make some time, visit 3news.com for up-to-the-minute news from the show as it goes on. Thank you to the team. Really appreciate this. Now, a number of your messages as well, I'm receiving, as always, about 600 so far. Yes, I'll read a few. After this quick break, we're getting into the city because that's also another issue of concern. And we'll have a few others joining us for the conversation about the city and the economy, the city-dollar relationship. City is dancing seriously offbeat, almost 15 cities, as we're seeing, to the dollar. And businesses are crying, individuals are complaining because the trickle-down effect, we are all affected in many, many, many ways. We'll be back shortly after this quick break. We'll have a conversation. The former Deputy Finance Minister is here, and then the Honorable Martin Kpebu is part of committees that also talk about the state of the economy. We'll be back shortly. Yes, you're not.